In this video I will highlight all of Magnamalo's biggest openings, and how to take full advantage of them with the longsword. It is a guide detailing when to foresight, when to special sheath, and when you're safe to go in for a helmbreaker. Now I'm not going to be covering every single move, just all of the ones most easily exploited. First, I want to talk about the simple ones that don't relate to each other. Magnamalo will begin each engagement with a roar that is basically a free spirit level. But the roar is actually long enough to get us an easy helmbreaker, which is useful in situations where he runs off and you still have a spirit level 3 when you catch up to him. During the fight his roar is different, and it has a kind of a weird tell. He will do a little back hop away from you, bark once, and then roar. You need to time your counters a little after the first bark when his head is lowest to the ground. The roar lasts long enough that you can go from a foresight or an EI into a helmbreaker safely. But just barely. Don't try to special sheath after the helmbreaker. If he goes in for one of his faster attacks right then, you won't have time to counter. Instead, let the helmbreaker linger, and go into a foresight if needed. Get used to doing this after most helmbreakers. You can always go into special sheath if you determine that there's no immediate danger. Always take a moment to survey your situation after a helm splitter. Next is the tail stab. Optimally, you want to go in for a EI into a helmbreaker. But if you're close enough, you can also do a foresight to build spirit level. You can also just dodge by moving to the side and then go in for a helmbreaker. It's a very easy move to take advantage of. The move where he emits gas all around him, and the one where he emits gas with his tail, directly in front of him, are also good helmbreaker openings, if you're quick. With the range Soaring Kick has, you can also go right through the gas and go for the helmbreaker. And that's it for the easy stuff. Now we need to talk about openers and finishers. An opener is an attack Magnamalo will use to chain into other openers or a finisher. A finisher is the move that he will use to end his combos, that you can use as an opportunity for a helmbreaker. Let's look at the finishers first. There's the downward punch, the tail slam, and the jumping tail slam. Now normally you have enough time between openers to counter more or less freely, so long as you don't try to helmbreaker until you see a finisher. Unless his arms are glowing. You see, Magnamalo will do his punches as finishers for other moves. If his arms aren't glowing, he will only do one punch, and leave himself open for a helmbreaker. If his arms are glowing, however, he will do 2 punches back to back. Ideally, you want to foresight the first one, go into a special sheath at the dodge, EI the second one, and then go in for a helmbreaker. But it is possible to get caught in the middle of a special sheath by the first punch. In this case, you should EI the first punch, and try and angle yourself away from the second. If you land the first counter, you can dodge right after. Magnamalo will do his second punch with the opposite hand, so you can try and determine where to roll to avoid it. But sometimes you realize you'll get hit no matter where you roll. In this situation, you can EI the first hit, and then Serene Pose the second, assuming you have the wirebooks to use it. The important point here is that while those arms glow, you shouldn't go into a special sheath after avoiding openers. Instead, linger after a foresight, and maybe do a poke to determine what he's going to do next. Now let's go ahead and cover some of those sneaky openers. There's the tackle, the upward tail swipe, and the bite. The upward tail swipe is particularly nasty, because the next hit can come out pretty fast. Normally when it comes, you want to foresight and then special sheath at the dodge, but in this situation his arms are also glowing, which got me confused and I ended up taking a hit. What I should have done is poked after the foresight and then foresighted again. And I think that's everything. One piece of longsword advice before you go. We have so many counters now that the many options before us can seem overwhelming, and it's easy to feel compelled to string one move into the next. But this is not the longsword way. If you relax, and just take a moment to let your hits linger, you will be able to better make good decisions of what to do. Not every successful foresight needs to be chained into a round slash, and not every EI slash needs to go into a helmbreaker. And with that said, thank you for watching.